The second thing is that black executives, male executives, in the corporations will run away from helping other blacks, and I don't mean helping in the literal sense, but sponsoring them. So they will go in the back room behind the black race car owners and drivers' back and says, no, you better not help them. Blacks have never been in racing because they're ignorant and scared. Ignorant and scared.
Now, see, I'm surprised because I know that you both already talked about the corporate sponsorship and development and how difficult that is. It's also difficult for white racers as well at this point, as we talked about. But for you, I expected you to say that the biggest struggle that you faced or the biggest obstacle was in the pit or in the stands. You know, for you to say that it was corporate surprises me somewhat, to be quite candid.
Yeah, but there's a Jim Hickman article. He was a NASCAR type reporter that was well known. I think he's passed now. And there's a passage in Lenny's book that they said, well, that racing is the only sport left to reserve for white athletes because the black athletes are superior athletes in the other sports. But that isn't true. The black athlete has always have to overcompensate to be recognized. So it's not that black athletes are better football players or basketball players. It's just that they just have to rise to it.
What kind of response did you get when your cars were taken into the garage or when they were on the track? Were you victimized? Were you intimidated or threatened even on the course?
You know, on the NASCAR environment, a black race car driver's crash damage is 25 to 50% more per year for the white drivers, because we've had black drivers that were purposely put out of the race. They have bounties put on the black drivers. That's if you hit him, you get $500.
Who pays that bounty?
The group of people in the pits, the car owners in the pits, have a pool to see who can put the black driver out.
Are you saying that that still exists today, or is that experience that you had in previous years?
And we had it past and present.
It still exists today.
It still exists.
There could still be a bounty on drivers today.
And I've heard that on the radios, spotting, you know, in the Carolinas at grassroots racetracks.
And it would take...
you know, back when earlier in the show when I said that you have to come out, start with your disposable income, and the father or the parent owns the car for the son or daughter, a lot of those cars are either unmarked without sponsorship, or they have maybe a small business in the skilled trades like carpentry or plumbing, and that'll be on the car for the son, and they race with their disposable income. When we came in the mid-90s, we came in with GM Goodwrench from General Motors, which GM Goodwrench was synonymous with Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt, I was going to say.
So when our trailer rolled in, the first day and the last day with that sponsorship that lasted 3 years, they're like, how did these guys, and I'm being nice, they use other words, not guys, how did these people get what Dale Earnhardt has? You know, how did they do it? Well, my father and I, we're sophisticated, we're educated, and we make corporate presentations, but it almost started a riot at some of the racetracks. And then getting back to the crash damage, that's how the crash damage went up. You know, they're in shock that we have the same thing that Dale Earnhardt had.
I was amazed when I was reading the book. We're almost out of time, but I did want to find out your perspective on today's racing environment and what it might take for a black driver to win either at Indy, at Daytona, or somewhere else on NASCAR, or even Talladega, which, as we all know, talk about, you know, the good old boy. That is the home of the good old boy.
It would take 4 black drivers in one race to win Daytona or Talladega. You have to have Jackie Robinson in one car, Charles Barkley in another car, Donovan McNabb in the third car, and Clarence Thomas in the fourth car. He'll try to wreck the other black drivers to see that he's fair. If that's the only way that's going to happen at Talladega or Daytona, because they're going to take air off their cars, they're going to push them out of line, and this new bumping run rule that the return to is definitely a disadvantage to a black driver because they'll punt him over the wall real quickly.
How about Indy?
Indy is no problem. Indy is like 90% less stress in the racial areas.
How soon do you think we'll see a black individual move up the ranks in NASCAR like Serena Williams or her sister have done in tennis, or as you mentioned, Tiger Woods has done in golf?
I think anywhere from 5 to 10 years.
From today.
From today. That's kind of, even 5 years is kind of liberal.
2015
I think it's closer,
or 2020?
I think it's closer to 10 years because you'll have to identify that driver now in the grassroots level. They would be identified right now today, and in 5 years, then maybe they would be at the top levels. That driver doesn't exist.
All right.
Mark Davis does, but they kind of threw him off to the side.
All right, interesting perspective. Leonard T. Miller, the co-author of Racing While Black, thank you so much for being with us. And Leonard W. Miller, thank you for being with us as well. And I do want to point out that these are the opinions expressed entirely by our guest. We did not have a representative from NASCAR here today, but we certainly welcome the opportunity for them to tell us what they think, and you as well. See you next time.